Hi guys, this is Omer from MMOHut.com. I'm going to do another quick weekly recap of MMO news and announcements for the week ending October 10th. And as you can see from the video in the background, the first piece of news I'm going to talk about is about Lord of the Rings Online. Now this piece of news actually came out later in the week, but I'm going to talk about it first because I think it's really important. And the actual news is that Lord of the Rings Online revenue doubles since going free to play. The game's active player base has also increased by some 400%. Now, I don't really care if Turbine makes money or not with Lord of the Rings Online, but seeing Turbine have so much success with free-to-play may convince other publishers like Funcom and Electronic Arts to eventually make games like Age of Conan and Warhammer Online free-to-play in the future. Now, Turbine's success with launching Lord of the Rings Online as a free-to-play game should definitely pave the way for other pay-to-play games in the future to relaunch as free-to-play titles. Up next, Fly for Fun V16 Rise of the Muron launches in early November. Now this bit of news came out on October 4th, and the V16 expansion or update, whatever you want to call it, will introduce a new zone, a new major city, 3 new bosses, and a ton of new quests to the game. But most importantly, it'll add a new third job evolution for all of the game's classes, and it'll raise the level cap to 139. Other changes include a major update to the guild housing system, and a new instance dungeon called Arco's Asylum. Now, as mentioned earlier, all of this will go live sometime in early November. And fun fact, guys, I think Fly for Fun was the first MMORPG to have a flying mount system, or at least one of the first early ones. And if you're wondering why the video quality is so low, it's because GPotato does not have any high quality videos for the V16 update on their website. This is the highest quality one they have, and it's not so good. Silly GPotatoes. Next up, guys, on October 5th, Area Games announced a brand new browser-based MMO. It's a 2D artillery-based turn-based tank MMO, which looks a lot like Gunbound. And look at the gameplay. And by a lot like Gunbound, I mean almost exactly like Gunbound. And apparently the game is very popular worldwide. It's just not out in North America yet, and I'm not sure if it's out in Europe yet either. It's popular in South America, and the version you're seeing right now is from South America. But one of the features that the Area Games list for the game is hilarious and explosive combat. How the combat can be hilarious and explosive, it doesn't make any sense to me. But I guess if you're a fan of Gunbound, you might want to give the game a try, and it is actually browser-based, which I guess is kind of neat. DD Tank should begin its beta testing phase sometime in mid to late October. Our next announcement is that Sky Legends was just announced by UTV True Games, and by just announced, I mean it was announced on October 5th, 2010. Now this looks to be a dogfighting MMO, and it actually has anime-inspired graphics. And the video you're seeing right now is kind of lame because it's in black and white, but it's the only video on the game's website, and it's the only video out there for Sky Legends. And I should mention, it is a browser-based game, but it looks pretty decent for a browser-based game. I just don't like the fact that the trailer out for the game right now doesn't show you any actual gameplay, and it's all black and white and kind of annoying. The game does run on the powerful Unity engine, and it actually looks a bit like Aeronauts, which was a game on Game & Game that never actually launched. The next piece of news, which came to us on October 6th, is that Genesis AD will begin its open beta phase sometime in early November. And I'm actually been excited about this announcement because for a long time there's been no news out there about Genesis AD and if it's ever going to come out and when it's ever going to come out. And there's finally a date, and that's early November. I know it's still a bit vague, but I'm still a bit excited. And if you haven't heard of Genesis AD, it's a 3D sci-fi themed MMO shooter. It looks a bit like Tactical and Modern, but you can jump off walls, you can cloak yourselves, and there's a lot of cool abilities in the game with futuristic weapons and things like that to make itself more original. Now I'm a bit tired of all the Tactical Modern themed games out there, so seeing a sci-fi themed MMO shooter is definitely pretty exciting to me. And in case you don't know, the game is being published by Iji. Iji, I-J-J-I, Iji, is that how you say it? I'm gonna go with Iji. The next announcement is that Alad's patch 1.1.02 is finally live, and it's called Rise of Gorluxer. And it basically just added a whole bunch of new things to the game. It's considered a major update. You got 2 new boss battles in Gorluxer's Tower, major rebalancing for many of the game's archetypes, a new Imperial Zone, new social features, a new and better Astral where there's more things to do, a revamped Arena of Death where you can win more awesome prizes, and plenty of new quests to do. Now, it's good to see Alad's Online being updated regularly. It's one of those really high-quality, free-to-play games. Now, aside from the major changes, there are actually a ton of smaller little updates which were tweaked in the game. You can see in the full changelog on the Alad's website. Up next, Forsaken World previews a new vampire class. Now, it's just another class added to the game with its own set of talent trees and skills. But what's more exciting is that Forsaken World is actually coming out. The game's closed beta is scheduled to begin on October 27th, and if you've received your beta keys for the game, I think they started giving them out like 3 months ago. You can finally redeem it and access the game yourself. And in case you didn't know, Forsaken World is published by Perfect World Entertainment, the same guys behind Perfect World, Heroes of Three Kingdoms, Battle of the Immortals, and a bunch of other free-to-play MMOs. The last piece of news we have before we get into recently launched games is Craft of Gods prepares a brand new patch which should be launching on October 14th. Now, Craft of Gods used to be a pay-to-play MMORPG, but relaunched itself as a free-to-play game pretty recently. And the new patch for the game, which should be live on October 14th, will be adding a brand new dungeon to the game called Cave of Talion, as well as 3 new battlegrounds to the game. Players can also expect new drops, new items, new quests, and things of that nature. Up next, we'll talk about games that just launched, and by some games, I mean just one game, because the only game that just recently launched this week is Uncharted Waters Online from Netmarble, a unique naval-based MMORPG. I think the game is a bit original and worth checking out, but I'll keep this one short because I did talk about this one last week. The game went from open beta into full release just this week. The next section is launching soon, and the game we're going to talk about first is Dynasty Warriors Online from Area Games. The game will begin its closed beta testing phase on October 14th. Hopefully the open beta phase should begin shortly after. Now, we did a quick question and answer with Area Games about Dynasty Warriors Online, which you may want to check out on MMOHut.com/editorials. But basically the game is developed by Koei, the same developer behind the Dynasty Warrior games for the consoles. The game is supposed to feature the same crazy hack and slash style gameplay that the console games had, mixed in with some MMORPG elements, which sounds pretty interesting. Well guys, the next and last bit of info is Myth Angels Online from User Joy begins its closed beta phase on October 6th. That means the game's closed beta already began, and open beta should follow shortly afterwards. And as you can see from the game's graphics, Myth Angels Online looks exactly like Angels Online, and that's because the two games were developed by the same company. I guess fans of the original Angels Online game will definitely want to check out the User Joy version called Myth Angels Online. The original Angels Online had a built-in game bot that played the game for you. You'd think, with a system like that, it'd be so easy to level, and it is. But the guys behind Myth Angels Online decided to one-up their last game. And instead of a built-in bot, in Myth Angels Online, you literally gain experience for sitting down. You don't have to run the bot, you don't have to run a program that kills monsters for you. You just sit down and you gain experience. If you thought the built-in bot system in God's War Online or Magic World Online was ridiculous, just try Myth Angels Online. Anyway guys, that's it for MMO News / announcements for the week ending October 10th. This is Omer, signing off. Later guys.